This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by the British super welterweight champion, Ted Cheeseman. Ted, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Good, mate. You?
Good stuff. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Obviously some boxing to talk about this past weekend, an upcoming fight for yourself, and also obviously Conor Benn's recent COVID test, which meant he wasn't able to box. Let's just start off with that. We know Conor was meant to headline last night's show against Adrian Granados, unfortunately testing positive for COVID. Just kind of your reaction to seeing your campmate not being able to get out into the ring last night.
Obviously, it's gutting for him because he's done a long, hard camp and he was looking really good and really sharp in the gym. Obviously, it's nice just at the end of a camp when you've done the last hard bits, like certain runs we do, like you do the last triangle, the last certain session on like on boxing sessions that are hard, really hard and grueling. You think, oh, I'm glad I got that out of the way with. He's gonna have to do all them again now without having the success of getting another win and having another fight. But obviously, he's still learning, still young, so just got to take the time, be patient again, and the fight's still going to happen. So just got to get back in the gym once he's over it all.
How is he feeling at the minute?
Conor?
Yeah.
I think obviously he's gutted, because like I said, he's done a whole camp. But again, obviously, he's in a good position where he's at, so the fight's still going to happen. It's just when it will happen. I mean, how quick it will happen again. And then obviously, he'll be looking to push on again because he's in a great position.
Has he had any symptoms because of the positive COVID test?
I think so, yeah. Like, because basically, the last week, he hadn't been training with us. He had been training on his own in the evening, because obviously his fight was going to be in the evening, so we usually train in the mornings. So he'd been training in the evening. So the only thing I've seen really is what you've seen on social media.
So, I mean, just for you guys in camp who do have fights coming up, I take it you've all had to go and get tests yourselves just to be safe since?
Yeah, do you know what? Tony's had us doing lateral flow tests at the start of every week anyway, do you know what I mean? So we've all been testing every week. And it's just unlucky. I think now people are going to get it more frequently, but it just ain't going to be as bad because obviously we've just got to start getting used to living with it now.
Just to move forwards with last night's show, obviously he was headlining then by Wood Kanju. Did you tune in? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched the Wood Kanju fight. It was a really good fight. It's good to see someone like Lee Wood obviously lost at like a lower level, bring himself back, get his opportunity and take it, and he boxed really well.
Obviously, one man in your division fought, somebody who's been linked with yourself for a potential fight is Anthony Fowler. What if you did catch his fight? What did you make of it? His win versus Rico Muller.
He done what he had to do. Do you get what I mean? I don't think he looked the greatest, but then again, he's just had a baby in the last couple of weeks or whatever. It's a change of opponent, so obviously there's not much really you can take from these sort of fights. The thing is now he's got a big fight coming up with Liam Smith, and now you're going to see what the result and the outcome is of that. And these fights, all that he's done, it don't really matter at all. It's just now he's got a big one. Let's see what happens there.
That's something I was going to touch on next, obviously, about Liam Smith, Anthony Fowler fight slated now for October 9th. What's your take on it?
I think, in my opinion, I think Fowler's sort of not fans. You know, there's not been no media, and it's like he's gone from one level flying up to another level. Do you get what I mean? He ain't took no, like, this is a risky fight, but it's a risk of, if he lose, a lot of people are going to expect him to lose, so it ain't going to look so bad. He ain't took the risk where people think he's going to win, but it's still going to be a hard fight, you know what I mean? And I think he could have done with a couple of them fights probably before the Liam Smith fight, but then again he's 30, 31. When is he going to be ready? So if he's going to be ready, he's got to be ready now. And look, good luck to both of them. They're both good fighters, and we'll see who's the better man on the night.
How do you expect it to play out, Ted? When they're in the ring, stylistically, what do you think people should be expecting?
I don't know, because like the thing is obviously every dog has his day. You know what I mean? And Liam Smith's had a lot of hard fights, but fought at a really good level. And it's has he had one too many of them? I don't think so. I honestly don't believe that yet. But I still think he looks quite fresh and stuff. But you never know. Do you know what I mean? It can happen overnight. And you wouldn't expect someone like Fowler to be able to walk in there and blow out someone who went a lot of rounds of Canelo, taking big shots round after round. You know what I mean? And then obviously his last fight, a lot of people thought he won against, I think he was like a Russian or something. He was quite high up. And he was taking big shots there against a big puncher. And there's not many times you see him like hurt or really rocked. I think to beat Liam Smith, you got to be very sharp and outbox him, you know what I mean? And not sit with him too much. And I think it's going to be hard for Fowler because that ain't his style. I think maybe last night, maybe he was practicing that a bit. Obviously, probably already agreed to the fight and he knew that he probably could have blew that Moolah away a lot earlier. He probably used the rounds to practice boxing a bit more on the back foot and letting someone come to him. Because I think Liam Smith will plan to sit on him early, break him down, and then get to him. But again, you don't know. Like as I said, it might be one fight too many for Smith, or it might be 3 or 4 fights too early for Fowler. Do you know what I mean? So we'll see. But good luck to both of them. It's a really good fight. It's a good fight for the fans. Good fight for me as a fan as well, as a boxing fan. And obviously, they're all fights like this. Obviously, me and Troy Williamson coming up, and then these are all fights on our domestic level. So they're fights that can happen for us as well, and they're obviously likely future opponents for us. So it's good to see these fights happen.
Ted, you've said, when I've asked you about either the Fowler or the Liam Smith fights for yourself, you were more than happy to face them. It was more so if you were to, they needed to bring something to the table. So whether that be a belt you didn't have, or maybe like a big purse, for example, for them two to meet now, why do you think it's beneficial for those guys? And depending on your result against Troy and that fight itself, do you think we could see you face, winner versus winner?
Yeah, because it's obviously now they're going to be meaningful fights. Obviously, at the moment, it looks like there ain't nothing on the line. But I can surely think that by a fight that comes, there'll be some sort of international title on the line and some sort of, hopefully, probably an eliminator of some sort for a world title. So then once that sort of happens, then these fights are meaningful fights. Right now, I'm 5th with the IBF, and there's no one at 4. Yeah, so that sort of takes me down to 4. Tim Tszou's fighting for a WBO international eliminator, so that takes him out of the top 5. So that takes me down to 3. So then you got the mandatory who's been ordered to fight Charlo, and you got Jack Colkai. You know what I mean? So I'm there or thereabouts with another win. I should be looking at an eliminator or final eliminator stuff like that. So these fights will happen if, like you said, they look like they could become to some sort of meaningful opportunities coming up. Obviously, if everyone's successful. So we'll soon see what the future brings.
Let's come on to your fight with Troy then, Ted. Obviously, we know Eddie and Matchroom won those purse bids. So have you got anything in store for with regards to the date?
There's a couple of dates been chucked at me, but obviously nothing sort of set in stone yet. So we're obviously just waiting. Hopefully in the next few weeks, something will be confirmed. Obviously, I think the purse bids was that it can happen anytime up to the end of November. So I don't know. We're just waiting now. We've got a couple of sort of we're training now, taking over ready to go in camp and sort of in camp and doing my early mornings and stuff. So it's just actually having something fully confirmed. We know when sort of around we're going to be fighting, and when it happens, I'll be ready.
How tough of a test is Troy, for you, Ted, in comparison to your past opponents and especially the British level guys you fought, i.e. Kieran Conway or Sam Eggington?
Listen, I think what everyone disregards at our weight is where there's a lot of there's 5 or 6 of us who are all similar style fighters and all at the similar level. Do you know what I mean? And they're all always going to be pick 'em fights. Do you know what I mean? So the thing is, Troy Williamson's a really good fighter. So was James J. Metcalf. So was Kieran Conway. So was Scott Fitzgerald. Do you know what I mean? All these fighters, they're all good fighters. It's just you have to train really hard, get yourself really fit, and find little tactics to give you the edge on the night. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully that works and then you're successful. But do you know what I mean? They're 50-50 fights. But that's what you want. I think domestically, the light middleweight division is probably the toughest one overall weights, to be honest. So it's like there's a lot of good boys all there. So it's just about making sure you're ready, keep improving. And I think with me, if you look at all the other boys, what I'm edging on all of them is the experience of taking these fights and being in with all these different style of opponents, and obviously showing that I adapt and showing now I'm using my experience and picking things up and keep learning more stuff. And I'm still young, I'm still 25, I'm 26 this month. I'm still learning and I'm just keep improving. And I feel I'm becoming more of a man. I'm getting more stronger, more mature, and it just will happen. And I'm really confident. But listen, there's no bad blood between me and Troy. Again, may the best man win. Nah, it's got to that point where I believe no matter what fight I'm in, it's always going to be quite entertaining. And I don't need to try and sell it that way. I'll sell it on that I'm ready to fight.
One name I do want to talk about is we haven't ever spoke about him, but it's a Hamza Shiraz, very tall, very rangy, super welter. What do you make of him and his current standings in the domestic scene?
It's like you see it with certain fighters. Certain fighters are taking risks, certain fighters ain't. You know what I mean? And like right now, he's getting managed really well. Look, no disrespect to him, he can only fight who he's put in front of him. But it's actually at the moment like he's not fought no one who's of any point where there's even probably 70-30. I think that it's not even been in a fight where it's that. You know what I mean? It's normally I reckon probably all of his fights are 95 to 5%. You know what I mean? It's likelihood of losing. You know what I mean? So it's hard to judge, like because a lot of people you hear speaking about people sparring each other and this one does this. And until you do it in a ring and in a fight, it's a totally different story. I mean, you can't take nothing away from them because they're doing their job and they're doing what they're meant to do. But until they're in with a live opponent, then you'll see how good they are.
Right, Ted, we will leave it there and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I appreciate your time. I'll hopefully see you again soon, mate. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks, mate. I'll see you soon.